it down, turn it up. You ain't made me laugh, but that's cool.
Hello, welcome to Quiet in the Kitchen, episode 23. It's also the 1-year anniversary video. My name is Peter Lundholm. I got nothing for this episode. So in order to kill time, I'm going to answer some of your questions that you submitted. Here we go. Lexi asks, how are you? Lexi, that's the same question you asked last time, and my answer is the same.
I'm in Ichiban shape.
Sam Chun, what's up, Sam? Sam wants to know what made you want to put up a green screen and start QITK. Well, in the beginning of the COVID stay-at-home orders, I entered an extreme hypomanic state. So as a creative outlet and as a way to cope, I put a green screen up on the wall of my apartment and decided to publicly fall apart, and it's going good. So,
The Ichiban shape.
Amanda asks, can you please wear a lucha mask at least once on QITK? Enjoy. Doug Hagman asks, who's the greatest wrestler and why is it Rufus R. Jones? Another wrestling question. Doug, Rufus R. Jones is the best wrestler because he broke down racial barriers and also because he's your favorite. So that makes him the best.
I already said it's Pete Lundholm on the drums over here.
And finally tonight, Eddie wants to know what was your favorite episode to make. Thanks for asking, Eddie. My favorite episode to make was the one we did with D2G.
I'm too ahead of the curve to be sidestepped. You'll be hard-pressed and high-stressed thinking that you fucking with my vibe next. I flex not cause I'm brolic and almighty, but mean losers unlikely. The thought of it seems exciting, I just know better. Therefore I flow better. And the bars are similar to tank tops in Chicago in the cold weather. See how I play this game, I play it for keeps. Y'all do the most, but you singing the least. Ain't no taming the beats. Any attempt that you try leads to a failure. I'ma just go for next, my dude, I came to repel you. Automatic guillotines whenever I'm feeling mean. Torture rap, break back to the point I can spill a spleen. Somebody distribute inhalers to the scene. Suffocation to my enemy scene. Cause I make it hard to. The choke looks too tight, the left hook's too right. So prep for a new right. Take a minute to. It's Victor Freeze flows on the set. Every bar's like a rear naked choke to your neck. I'm actually surprised that Pete and Packy for the shit. Got the call they wanted to murder the track really quick. But they ain't no pen and verses really scary really quick. I mean Leon the professional, that mercenary shit. So with that, we gathered for this unity together. For bars over beats, who you know can do it better? What's up?
That rhyme scheme video was made by a guy named The AZ Show on Fiverr. He lives in Italy. He's extremely hostile. It was a delight working with him. Check him out on Fiverr. I'm going to go see my therapist, and we'll be right back.
You have to remember, she's your mom. You know, she's just totally devoted to you, it seems like. You can't do any wrong in her book.
No, it's more like she expects me to do wrong and then is just pleasantly surprised to find out that I don't. But she definitely raised me to have a conscience. Like, I remember right after I turned 21, it's probably a couple months after my dad died, I got invited to my first ever bachelor party. And we were driving somewhere, and out of nowhere she hits me with this, I feel like if your father were here, he would want to have a talk with you about this weekend, and if there is a performer at the bachelor party, and I'm like, oh God, here we go. If there is an adult performer, a young woman who performs in the adult exotic milieu, just remember that she is a human being, and this is her job, and be respectful and respect her boundaries. And I'm just like, Mom, of course, I will be nice to the stripper, I promise. And she's like, okay, good. I know you already knew that. Let's stop at the bank and get you some singles.
Yeah.
Visit us now and drive the all-new Venture for this low price, or choose from over 1,000 other new and used vehicles. It's going to feel real good to pay less.
At Solozzi Edelson Chevrolet in Elmhurst at York and Roosevelt Roads,
where you always save more money.
You a little weirdo. Where you from?
Welcome back. Here to close the show with yet another one of Dave's raves, veteran newsman Dave McBride.
When Pete Lundholm asked me how my year went, I thought about it and concluded it was probably no different for me than for you, in the sense that a year and a half ago, if you went for a walk and the response to seeing you coming from a block away was other walkers immediately cloaking their mouths and noses with a face covering and crossing to the other side of the road, it might quite naturally have hurt your feelings. And now it's like, thumbs up, we feel the same about you, and we always have. But we came to accept our sentencing to a year in solitary because, seeing what was going on outside, we came to feel like Emo Phillips, who said, some mornings it just doesn't seem worth it to gnaw through the leather straps. I mean, we got a new car almost a half a year ago, and the lease allows for 10,000 miles a year, and my 6-month servicing is coming up, and the odometer still reads under 800, and I'm considering driving to the Grand Canyon just to assure the dealership I'm making the effort. But now that Anita and I got both our shots, like you, we're coming out of our burrows like meerkats into the Kalahari sunlight, but very warily, peeking our heads out slowly, like the meerkat, so as to avoid exposing ourselves to a jackal or a cobra or a pale-chanting goshawk, which, as threats to meerkats, could be described as variants. So anyway, I spent the time over the span of a year that I would usually spend in bars working on projects I never would have undertaken unless forced by fear of death to stay out of bars. And so I wrote a mystery novel. It's about a radio reporter in Key West who, with his bar pals, investigates a murder and hunts for a very valuable thing hidden away in olden times by Thomas Edison. Because they say write what you know, and I know way too much about Thomas Edison's life in Florida and quite a lot about the bars in Key West. Also, I spent weeks and weeks going through all my dad's and grandfather's very old 8mm movies from the 1940s to the 1970s, and I digitized them, and I put them up on YouTube. So all my relatives and their descendants can watch many dead people they have never met and could not pick out of a lineup eating turkey and playing croquet. And the best thing during my time in a cocoon is that I learned to cook really good Mexican, because in the time before standing in line at the TSA screening felt like the crush of doomed sinners queuing up on the causeway entering Dante's 8th circle of hell, we like flying to Mexico, and Anita misses the food. And because fresh is best, for Mexican recipes, I started growing my own cilantro, because it's a key ingredient. Like the key ingredient to one of these here raves is supposed to be wit, at least according to the recipe, which I undertake to sprinkle liberally, as it was Ambrose Bierce who defined wit as the salt, with which the American humorist spoils his intellectual cookery by leaving it out. Anyway, by growing my own, I learned that not only do you get cilantro when you grow cilantro, but you get coriander, because cilantro grows from coriander seeds, and then cilantro makes more coriander seeds. And this created an existential crossroad in my life, because you can't have it both ways. If you cook with the seeds, there's no cilantro in your future, which would be a grim and cheerless future. And so, do you toast and crush the seeds for seasoning, which is expedient and immediate gratification, or do you plant the seeds and grow the cilantro? Sure, it takes longer and requires patience, but there is nothing like fresh-cut cilantro sprinkled over homemade Mexican. Like when you have to choose between the 2017 theatrical release of Justice League or the Zack Snyder cut. The Zack Snyder one is twice as long to sit through, but that's a lot more Gal Gadot. The choice is clear. Between coriander and cilantro, the cilantro is a lot more Gal Gadot. It's like when you pronounce Gal Gadot with a silent T. It is shorter and easier to say, but when she says her own name, she adds a T, so it comes out Gal Gadot. So I go the extra T and grow the cilantro.